great. Max, it'd be good to know just a little bit about you.
So I have the privilege of being able to actually work on building spacecraft. And so we're actually putting together one at the moment for the European Space Agency.
Very good.
I'm also married, so my wife is Anne, and she and I did the same physics course at university. And I think it was when I got to kind of A-level, I reached my own personal conclusion that God didn't exist. And from that point of view, that I would consider myself an atheist.
Yeah. So you went off to university to study physics. And big change happened at university. You became a Christian while you were at university. How did that change come about?
The first major shock that hit me was the number of Christians studying physics. I thought most of the people here wouldn't be, and how can they reconcile that with like pursuing sort of scientific endeavours from that point of view? So that was the first major surprise. So one point of view was understanding where these Christians had sort of come from. And my wife was one of them that I met at university. And it was first of all through discussions with them that I recognised that firstly, Christianity had a lot of evidence behind it that I had no concept of or knowledge of whatsoever. So there was one strand where I was able to appreciate Christianity had a lot more backing from that point of view and a lot more substance to it. So I started to recognise that science wasn't the answer to everything.
What evidence in particular about Christianity struck you?
The one piece of evidence that really struck me was surrounding the events of Jesus and just how soon back you can actually go with the evidence to the eyewitness accounts of Jesus' death and resurrection, and the fact that it wasn't just a series of sort of Chinese whispers passed on from one to the other, but actually you have these thousands of years of documentation that actually all does actually agree with itself as you trace it back through all of our surviving documentation that we have. And even just as you go in and actually read parts of the gospel, it's not just some sort of abstract mythology. You've got people like Luke at the beginning of Luke just writing down the fact that there are these eyewitness accounts and that he's gone and talked to people and investigated, and that he's written these down, these sort of accounts down for other people to know. And that is so different to the way that I perceived Christianity and the way that I thought of it.
What difference did the resurrection make to you in making the shift to becoming a Christian?
Yeah, it's really a turning point. So even though you can accept that maybe Jesus was a historical figure, that doesn't necessarily give you sufficient grounds to go on worshipping him. And so what really makes you have to make that leap at that point is you have to really understand that Jesus was definitely dead, and that he was definitely buried, and that he definitely rose to life again. And that is quite a huge thing to accept. But when the evidence is there, and when you think about all of the different ways that you could explain it, and you come to the conclusion that actually the best explanation of the facts is that Jesus really did die and was resurrected, that is a huge turning point. If you believe that Jesus truly was resurrected, then you have no choice but to change your worldview and to start treating things much more seriously that you read in the Bible that Jesus said, and to really go on and investigate those in much more detail.
And so the evidence of that and the limitations of science meant that actually this was a big turning point for you in becoming a Christian.
Yeah, that's right. So I recognised that because I couldn't get all of these answers through science alone, you needed some other resources to be able to answer these kinds of questions. And I had a sort of brief look around sort of what other sort of religions had and how they compared to Christianity. And for me, the one with the strongest explanatory power from that point of view, the one with the most coherence, was Christianity.
What difference, therefore, does it make to you now being a Christian?
previously, when I was a teenager, I had to put a lot of faith in our scientific endeavours in proving to defeat death. Christianity provides a very different discussion and interpretation of the end of life and the universe, and it describes a way in which we can actually have a future, just not as part of this world and this universe that we live in. And that provides a very different hope for the future as well. I no longer have to go around hoping to preserve my body or uploading it to a virtual net and then hoping that no one pulls out the plug and living in that kind of fear. But instead, I don't need to fear death in the same way.
And so what would you say should be the next steps? If someone's saying, okay, I'm not a Christian, but I need to do this, what's the next steps?
Yeah, I would say the next step really would be to read the Gospels. I think they're fantastic, and they help to really explain this person of Jesus, who he is, sort of why he came, and really about his death and resurrection, because that is really the key sort of centre point of Christianity. All hinges on Jesus' death and resurrection. And so to investigate that is surely the best place to go to be able to see if Christianity really is true or not.
Great. Thank you very much, Max.